Good afternoon again. How are you? This is Monica Gonzalez. I am an attorney with MG Law Firm, Principal Director. And today I want to talk to you about a particular subject that some of you have raised an interest and have approached me about in different venues. That is 1031 exchanges, especially when it comes to real estate. And it's a very interesting topic, and in fact, because a lot of investors could avail themselves of this tool that is provided by the Internal Revenue Code. And a 1031 exchange basically provides for some degree of deferment of capital gain or losses that are derived from an exchange of in-kind property, a property that is alike in terms of character and nature. And the money that is generated in profits or capital gains or losses from that exchange could be deferred, and the taxes are not paid immediately. In-kind property, like-kind properties, involves mostly not the value or the quality, but the character and nature. And this type of exchanges involve exchanges that are for properties that are held for in businesses, in trade, or investments to produce income. Certain properties are excluded, like stocks and bonds, and certain exchanges are not allowed. If we have a client that is an international client and has this business property or investment property overseas and tries to do an exchange with a local domestic U.S. property, then that would not qualify for this particular deferment. If you have a client that would like to do this type of deferment, they will have to involve a specific type of person that is designated as a qualified intermediary or an accommodator. This person cannot be the actual attorney or the actual real estate agent or the actual accountant for that particular client or taxpayer. It has to be a separate person, and this person should have some degree of knowledge in the law and also in terms of taxes. People ask me, how would I do this exchange? Well, usually you have a taxpayer, an investor, a client that purchased a land, and they want to sell the land, and they're going to realize certain gain from that sale. Usually that gain is taxable, obviously, for that taxpayer immediately for that particular year. However, if that taxpayer conducts a 1031 exchange of like property, then that capital gain, that profit that he realized, wouldn't have to be declared in that moment. It could be deferred to a later time. The process to follow in a 1031 exchange with this qualified intermediary is as follows. This qualified intermediary would enter into an agreement with the taxpayer, with the seller, and would actually effect the transfer of the property that is being sold, and then would hold in escrow the funds from that sale, and later on reinvest that amount of money into the purchase of the new property. Something to bear in mind in these exchanges when it comes to the actual transfer is back in the day before 1979, the transfer had to be done, or the exchange had to be done immediately. You had to buy something and sell something immediately. Actually, sell something or buy something immediately, rather. However, since 1979, the taxpayer could take some time before doing this, but you need to follow the formula, which is the property that the taxpayer is going to purchase in exchange for the one that is selling have to be identified before the closing of the sale. Also, the property that is going to be purchased had to be identified within 45 days of the closing of the sale, and the actual purchase have to be realized within 180 days of the closing. So that's the time frame, and it's very important to be kept in mind. need to identify the property before the sale of the one that is being exchanged. You need to identify the property that you buy 45 days post-closing, and you need to do the actual closing of that new property within 180 days. What type of property qualifies? Trucks, machinery, office supplies and materials, but this type of exchange is really done mostly for real estate, and it's very convenient. As I mentioned, any property outside of the country doesn't qualify to do an exchange with a local domestic property. It's worth mentioning that this tool is really relevant at this time because a lot of foreign investors are feeling the tightness in terms of their ability to move the funds, being that the dollar is very strong right now in the international arena. And I have received comments from some investors, some of my clients, as to, well, I cannot really, I'm concerned about funding a new venture, and now I have this investment in the United States, what should I do? So it would be a very good idea to offer them this option, and it will be opening some funding for you to provide new sales for them and purchases. So it's a very good tool. You could tell them, well, if you have an investment in the United States, I could assist you in selling that property, and then you could reinvest the profits and defer the gains, and so you don't have to pay taxes in the gain, and you could recover your basis. The basis is the amount of money that they initially invested as equity, their own money, and so it's a great avenue for them to reinvest the money and move funds. As always, I advise you to have an accountant to provide you for more specific guidance when you're actually filing the taxes. This is meant to be as an introductory, informative session, but we are always here to help you. You can always contact me, Monica Gonzalez at MG Law Firm, and my telephone is 305-699-5291, 305-699-5291. Thank you.